Content and social media machine. My name is Will Hankey. My company is called Window Treatment Marketing Pros. I'm excited to have you here today. Every month we do live workshops and bring you different topics related to digital marketing for your window treatment and awning company. And we always want to bring you the latest, best information and things that you can do, that you can take action to apply to your business to get better rankings, get more eyeballs on your business, generate more leads for your company, and obviously grow your revenue. So this month is all about content, building content on your site, one of the best things you can do. And ultimately, everything that Google does is related to content. Everything that they do, from ranking you to understanding your site, to indexing your site, to pulling out keywords, everything is related to content. So a very big, important piece of everything you do. And this is what we're going to be focusing on today. So today we're going to cover a couple different things. Obviously, why it's so important for your overall online health. We're going to talk through what I call the content creation formula. There's 4 main pieces to that. I'm going to give you the formula. I'm going to break it down into the 4 different pieces and explain those. We're going to talk a little bit about good content. We'll also talk about bad content, where to find good content, how to create that content. We'll also talk about headlines, how to create headlines that make sense and that draw people in. How to leverage social media to get some traction with all that content. That's a big piece of it. It's not the main piece, but it is a big piece of it. And then some tools to help you automate some different things. So let's jump in, shall we? If you have questions along the way, go ahead and put those into the chat. We're broadcasting live on a couple different platforms. So put your questions in there into the chat, and the team will see those questions. They'll get them to me. I want to make sure to get those answered for you today. So today, obviously, we're talking all about content. That is the big thing that we're talking about today. And why is it so important? Well, as I already mentioned, it is really the main ingredient to a lot of the things you do on online in the digital marketing world. The biggest thing here is that it creates trust between you and the consumer. It also creates trust between you as a business and sites like Google, Yahoo, Bing, all of the search engines. There's a huge piece of trust that needs to be built there as well. So creating content that makes sense builds trust between several different entities. Obviously, the better the quality of the content, the higher the trust level as well. Content can also build your email list, so it can build the amount of people that are interested in perhaps doing business with you. There are ways that it can build just your audience in general, really. So that is obviously very important as well. It also attracts attention. I mentioned that the better the content, the more content that you have, the more attention you're going to get, specifically from Google. One of the big things that we do for our clients is every month we're adding content to websites. And I do want to mention, there is a difference between going onto your website and just changing the content every month versus going onto your website and adding additional content to your site every month. So just going on and changing it every month and thinking that you're going to keep Google on their toes, by changing the content every month, you're probably hurting yourself by doing that, versus adding additional content so that every time Google comes back and indexing your site, they find additional pieces of content, more information, more solutions to problems that people might be searching for. That's going to help you a lot more than just switching up some words, things like that. So let's jump in and talk about what I call the content creation formula. Now, here's how the formula goes. On date, writer will publish a post using type about category. Okay, what in the world does that mean? Well, we're gonna dive in and kind of talk through this a little bit. So I'll reverse engineer this a little bit for you. So we'll start with category. So we're going to define the different categories. And in our world, this isn't tough to do because we're pretty much going to be talking about the same things. We're going to be talking about our products and our services for the most part. We're also going to be talking about solutions and benefits to our products, things of that sort. In most cases, those are listed on our website, right? Typically, you have your products and your services listed on your website. I wanted to pull up some other websites outside of just the window treatment industry and kind of go through those. So this is a publishing site that does publishing, book design, things like that. And at the, across the top of their website, you can see different things: book design, logo design and branding, sports marketing. This is their top level categories that they would probably be creating content about. This is a site that does productivity, and you can see they have training and they have different services, and these are their categories that they would probably be creating content about. This is a site that does training kids about magic, and they've got different classes. They would probably be writing content related to those, right? So pretty easy for us in the window treatment awning industry to figure out what we're going to be writing about. That is things related to our industry, obviously our products, obviously our services, but also things that people talk to us about, right? Things such as room darkening, motorization, those types of things that we hear quite often are things that we would also want to be talking about in these different categories that we would mention. Again, we're going to want to keep this a little bit top level. We're just talking about categories here, but these are the top level things that we talk about overall. Pretty easy to figure those out. I think that's probably the easiest one. So, all right. So now let's go to the next step, which is starting to figure out what is the content type that we want to create. Now, for the most part, we're going to be talking about text, and text is the most common. If you hear text, you're probably going to think of a blog post, right? You're going to write paragraphs of content, or you're going to have ChatGPT do it for you, and then you're going to humanly edit that content or something. I wouldn't just create content, by the way, from ChatGPT and throw it up on your site. We've seen that has not worked out well for a lot of high-profile websites. So don't do that. But it could give you a good structure of how to create a piece of content that you could then write for yourself. So text is the most common, and that is the way that Google sees most websites. They read through the text, they pick out the keywords that make the most sense, they judge you against all the other sites, and then they rank you accordingly. Text is the most common type of content that you can create for your business, but it's only one of 4 main ways that you can create content. Another way that you could create content is images. You can create images of content. Think of, obviously, here's the ultimate guide to window treatments. This is pretty nice. Also pictures, before and after pictures. People love those. Gallery on your website, those sorts of things could be considered content. That is definitely something that would help draw eyeballs to your business. Now, there's also video. Video is growing by leaps and bounds right now. YouTube is the number 2 search engine. It also happens to be owned by a company named Google. So definitely worth the time to create video. Probably one of the most overlooked ways to create content that is definitely going to show return. So consider doing how-tos or product demos. Things of that sort can really help you stand apart from your competitors. We've got a couple clients that do videos for a lot of their products. They put the videos on their websites, just like product demos of this is a Roman shade, what it does, how you use it, different things about it, benefits, those sorts of things. And those are awesome that you can do that. So, all right. So video is really good. And then the last one is audio. So think of podcast. those types of things. Podcast is another great way to get content and to get not eyeballs, but ears onto your content that you're creating. So definitely some different ways to create the content. Once you've picked out the category that you want to create content about, this is a great second way, or a great way to create different ways of creating content. All right, so now let's talk about who's going to create this content. Now that you've kind of picked out what you want to do, who's going to do it, right? So Al, the first one, obviously you are probably the subject matter expert when it comes to most of this stuff, right? This is the obvious answer. Now, in a lot of situations, you guys are probably busy running your business, right? And don't always have time to sit down, spend some time creating content. So if that's the case, then you have to figure out a different way to get the content done, right? So if that is the case, you have to figure out, okay, if I can find somebody, how am I going to compensate them? So there's really two ways to go about that. Obviously, there's money. You can just pay somebody to create the content. That's one way. The other way to compensate somebody for that is in exposure, right? So you can say, I will, give you exposure on my website in exchange for you writing the content, something along those lines. Now, those are the two ways to do it. For the most part, people are going to want to get paid for the content, right? I think that's pretty common, and we'll talk about those kinds of things. Now, there are ways for you to go out and find complementary websites. For example, this is a site called House Beautiful, and here's somebody that wrote an article. Caroline Picard and Lauren Smith wrote this article that went on to House Beautiful. It could be that you contact them, contact these authors and say, hey, I'd be interested in you writing something for us, along the same lines or something similar to this. So there's a way to find a writer, and there's lots of these complementary websites out there that you could approach the authors of those sites. You could just go to Google and type in the phrase window treatment blogger. There are people out there that have identified themselves as such. And then you could just go reach out to them and say, hey, what do you charge for a blog article or a piece of content that I could put onto my website? That's another way to do it. There's a site called Follower Wonk, which is fun to say. And you could do the same thing here. You could go to this site, type in a specific phrase, an industry, along with the word blogger, and you can find people that have identified themselves as writers for a specific industry. And then you could reach out to them because they'll show up, their profile will show up as being a writer for that specific industry. So that's something else that you can do. That tool is available. I think it's followerwonk.com. You could also build a page on your website and try to attract people to your site. So you could say, build a Write For Us type of page, a page on your website that says Write For Us, along with a little information about what you're looking for, in a form that they can fill out if they want to submit an article to you. A lot of times people will submit articles to you in exchange for just having a link back to their website as well. You do have to be a little careful because sometimes the sites that you're linking to are just really bad. So you have to be careful. You have to be a little bit selfish about who you're linking out to. Is the content worth the link that you're sending out? Is the juice worth, the juice worth the squeeze? Something like that. But anyway, be careful when you're doing that. But this is a way to go about doing so. Now, when it comes to paying for content, what do you pay? There are some sites out there. This is a site called Jobs from ProBlogger. This is a job board for people that are wanting to hire bloggers. And I wouldn't say go out here and post your job or your blog writing job, but you could go out here and cruise through this and see what other people are offering to pay for the same thing, right? So you could go and just search for other specific similar things and see what people are offering to pay. That would give you a good idea of a pay range. You know, obviously you could post a job there too as well, but the idea is just to do some recon and get some good idea of what the potential compensation is. So, all right, number 4 here is to build the foundation. So we need to build all of the foundation for all of these things. So let's start by building out a content calendar. So we need to figure out the last part of the formula, and that is, when are we going to publish this? And the reason that this is important is because you need to be consistent. You need to be on a schedule, right? You can't just throw them up there whenever you feel like it. Well, you can, but I would recommend that you be a little bit more consistent with it. It would work better for you if you did so, right? So the easiest tool to use obviously is Google. They have a free calendar, calendar.google.com will get you there. You can build this out and say, I'm going to just start publishing once a month, you know, whatever that publishing schedule looks like. I'm going to start publishing once a month on my site, one article that is at least 800 words, you know, and I'm going to follow this formula every month. I'm going to publish a different thing on a different category, you know, and go through the formula. So the one thing you don't want to do here is, which can be difficult, is to get excited about it and go crazy. And let's say you post one a week for 3 months and then you run out of gas, right? And then on month 4, you post 2. And in month 5, you post 1. And in month 6, you're kind of done with it, right? It would be better if you think that might happen. If you think you're what is that personality style? You're a quick start and you get a lot of stuff done and then you kind of wane off. It would be better if you just go ahead and do all that work, but then just bleed it out slowly. So maybe 1 or 2 a month. And that way it stays consistent for a long term. And it's better to teach Google that, hey, every month we're going to publish 1 post or we're going to publish 2 posts. We're going to be very consistent over the next 12 months for this. You know, it'll be a lot better to do it that way than to have this big peak and then a big valley of no posts afterwards. So, all right. Topics and ideas. Here's some cool stuff that you could do. So different ways to come up with ideas. Here's some that we came up with for you. Obviously, product reviews. There's always new products that come out related to our industry. This would be a good video, right? And in some cases, you could pull the audio out of that and turn that into a podcast as well. So obviously, if it's a product that requires somebody to see how it's operational, maybe the audio wouldn't work. But in some cases you can. Books, there are books that come out in our industry. You could review the book, I guess. Comparisons of products, different shutters maybe that are done, how the different ones compare to each other might be pretty cool. Personal stories, obviously interviews with experts. You could get into the what if scenarios. If you're interested in that. Obviously the controversy thing is always good. If you want to do that. Another thing I mentioned earlier is just listen to your customers. Are there things that people are coming to you and asking over and over? Are you hearing the same types of questions again and again? If you do, those are probably things that hundreds of other people, potential customers, are also thinking that you could turn into a piece of content. And you probably would get some decent traffic from that, right? there are a lot of people probably searching for the same things that people are asking you. There are probably a lot of people out there that just aren't asking you, right? So listen to your customers. That's a big one, and that can really get you some good traffic to your site. Obviously, listen on social media. If you frequent any window treatment or awning type sites, or if you have a little bit more expertise in, let's say, Facebook or Twitter, you could do some searches on those networks and just see what people are typing in about window treatments, awnings, or even get more specific into things like zebra shades, right? What are people saying about those right now? And just see what the comments are, what questions people are asking about those. That's a great way to come up with topic ideas. Google Alerts. I still use this to this day. It's been around forever, and I just love it. Google Alerts is a fantastic tool that lets you put in a specific phrase, and then every time somebody posts content online using that phrase, Google will email you along with the link to wherever that phrase was used so that you can go check out the page that was used on. So really cool way to keep up with the industry, and it maybe even something very specific or something vague that you want to keep up on. And anytime somebody mentions it, you want to be alerted to that. That's pretty cool. Google.com/alerts is a fantastic tool. Really cool. So definitely check that out as well. Another thing you can do is go back to some of your older blogs that maybe you've had success with in the past. And maybe when you posted it, it got a lot of traffic, but since then it's really kind of waned off. Go back and recycle that. And by that, I mean, update that content. Don't delete it and rewrite it, but get in there and update that content. We call it 10xing the content. Make it 10 times better than it was. Maybe that's 3 times better, but whatever the number is, make it a lot better than it was when you first did it. Pull it up, just make it a lot better, update it, improve it, republish that again. Just update all that content, republish it, and guarantee you'll see another nice spike in traffic from that same post. That is a great way to get additional eyeballs on traffic. It already has the history behind it. It already has that authority. So definitely worth the time to recycle some of these older blog posts that had some good teeth originally, and now they've just kind of lost their shine a little bit. Go back and check those out and make them better. Definitely worth your time to do that. Another site that's really cool is Yahoo Answers. Again, same thing. Go in there and type in a specific phrase or product or something that you're thinking of writing on, and see what other people are asking, questions people are asking about that specific topic. See what people are asking, and then you can answer those questions on your piece of content. These are great ways to get additional content ideas that maybe people aren't asking. I'll throw another one in here that I don't have a slide for, and that's answerthepublic.com. I mentioned this in another recent workshop that we did. Answerthepublic.com. You can put in a topic there, and that will also bring back a lot of questions that people are asking around a specific topic. So you can go there, type in, for instance, zebra shades, and it will give you a list of questions that people are asking about that. Lots of good ideas there. All right, so that's a lot about how to find different topics and content ideas. Let's talk about headlines. So we need to get a little bit into the promise of the article. And that is what a headline is. It really is a promise that what they're about to read is going to answer on the promise that you just made to them. When it comes to headline, there's really 3 types. There's one called social proof or a piggyback. And I'll go through some of these in a minute here. There's also the threat and then the gain. Those are the 3 main types of headlines. So let's look at each of these. So a social proof or a piggyback is an example of some of these. And these are usually the more clickbaity type ones that people kind of don't really like a lot anymore. What Dr. Oz eats for a midnight snack, those kinds of things. The one that everybody does now is, 7 things you should do before you go to bed. You won't believe number 5, those kinds of things. But the social proof types of things, they do work, right? They obviously do work. Also, threat headlines. So sorry I lied to you is a great one. That is a headline. That is an email subject line that I used a couple years ago, and by far was the most opened email that I ever sent out. And it was something that I sent. I can't remember what I did. I sent the wrong link to something or something like that. Can't remember what I did, but it worked well. Is your child's mattress harmful? So some sort of threat is related to the headline, and people will read that and be like, oh, I need to read the rest of this to find out what the threat, or how to solve this problem. And then the other side of that obviously is the gain side of things. If I read this article, I'm going to gain something from it. There's some sort of solution related to this. All right. Now, I also said I'm going to talk about a little bit about social media. Let's make sure to talk about this. Social media does have an influence on your Google rankings. If you're going to do all this content, create all this stuff, let's make sure to get it out on those social media channels, get it out on Facebook, get it out on LinkedIn, get it out on Twitter, all of the different places that it needs to go. And I just realized, I guess I need to update my Twitter logo here to an X. So I'm going to show you a couple different tools. So there's one called Sniply, which is pretty cool. It actually lets you put little bubbles at the bottom of screens when somebody comes to a site that you want to show your ad on or your content. So you can put these little bubbles at the bottom of a screen on a different website, which is pretty cool. You can put some sort of little thing out there. So like on the example, if somebody was on House Beautiful on that article about window treatments, you could have your ad pop up there and learn more about such and such zebra shades or window shades or something like that. It's around $29 a month. There's some more info about that. Sniply.com, I believe, is the website. Buffer is another one. Buffer is a great tool that can help you basically connect to multiple social networks all at once. And you can then write your articles write your social media posts one time, and it will go to multiple places all at once. That's a really cool tool. You just connect all your different places once, and you can also connect without getting nerdy. You can connect your RSS feeds. So you connect some things that will automatically pull in. And then you can also shuffle your posts up so that they go to different platforms at different times, and they don't all go out to the same platform at the same time at the same post. So they can do some really cool stuff there. This is buffer.com. Pretty cool. Pretty cool little site. Both of these do have Chrome extensions that you can use that will go up in your top right corner when you're using Chrome. So those are pretty cool too. Buffer is a great one. Very cool. So, all right, let's review. I don't see any questions in the chat. If you do have any questions in the chat, let's toss those in there while I go through these last couple slides. I want to make sure that I get your questions answered before we wrap up today. So, all right. First, define your categories. Typically, those are going to be your products and your services. Pick your content type. Remember, there are 4 main content types, text being the most common of those 4, and the one that Google probably loves the most, I would say. Find your writers, lots of different ways to find writers for your content. However, you are the best answer to that one. Build the foundation, get your calendar, your publishing calendar figured out. Don't overdo it at the beginning and then run out of steam at the end. Topic ideas. We came up with a lot of different ways to come up with ideas that you can come up with different ways. Don't forget to listen to your customers. I think that's probably one of the best there. Create some awesome headlines. Come up with something that is a promise, that it says, when you read this article, the rest of this article, I'm going to answer these specific things. Make sure to do that, because that's a big part of it there. I do see a question come in. I'm going to answer that in a second here. And then number 7, share across your social media networks. Make sure if all this effort that you're doing, that you push it out there so that people's eyeballs get on it as much as possible. You know, we are creating content for Google to index that content to help us rank higher in the search engines. But let's go ahead and share it on the other networks too, so that we can get eyeballs on that content as well. So definitely worth doing that as well. So, all right. Drapes of Wrath. Boy, I love that name. Will posting blogs I created with ChatGPT be good enough for posting? I heard Google does not like it, but how bad can it be? So, not a great idea. We just had a huge update to the algorithm within the last 7 days or so, where some very major websites were using 100% ChatGPT created content, and they lost 90, 95, sometimes 100% of their rankings because they were posting 100% ChatGPT created content. Some sites, even some people that were Google employees that had blogs that were using ChatGPT created content, they were de-indexed. They were literally kicked out of Google's index from using that content from this algorithm update. So definitely don't do it. You can use ChatGPT to come up with ideas. Give me 7 ideas on topics related to zebra shades. And you could even say, you know, something in ChatGPT around, I want to write a blog article on zebra shades. Give me 5 subcategories that I could cover, right? And it'll give you that information. And then from there, you write the article. You write the different paragraphs inside of there with its framework. Nothing wrong with doing that. As long as you're creating the content or having it create the content and you go through and edit it to something that is humanly edited, I think would definitely be worth your time and would keep you from getting kicked out of Google. If you just create content by using some sort of AI, you're really running the risk of your site just getting kicked out of Google. So I would definitely not do that. Let's see. If I have a blog, can I turn it into a video or use it as content for an audio cast? Will it be considered duplicate? Yes, absolutely. You can do this. And there are services out there that can turn this into an audio cast where it'll just read the blog. And there are tools out there that will turn it into a video as well. It will not really be considered duplicate content. It will just be the same content on different platforms. So you'll be reusing that content on multiple platforms, which actually I think is awesome. The other way to go about that is just to create the content in the first place as a video, and then you can pull the audio out of that, and then you can pull the transcript out of that. So you could go the other direction, just create it as a video in the first place, and then the other two will already be pre-made instead of creating it as a blog and then doing it the other way around. So definitely something you can do. Is it true that longer content works better than short content? Yes. There was recently an update called the Helpful Content Update. It first came out in April, May of last year, 2023. The Helpful Content Update basically was an update from Google that started to de-index or not rank sites that had thin content or short content or unhelpful content. Those pages on those sites were just no longer part of Google's rankings. So Google just removed those. This month, within just the last couple of weeks, Google ramped that up and added that to the core algorithm. And there was another round of that went out as well. So the longer the content, the more helpful the content, the higher your chances of that content being ranked. And yeah, shorter content, not worth your time and probably not going to be helpful to anybody that reads it anyway. So better just not to waste your time. Next, let's see. I already have content that's ranking well, but the information is outdated. I'm afraid of updating it because I'm not sure if I will lose the rankings. So you won't lose any rankings if you're only updating the content. If you're updating it and making it better, the chances of you losing rankings are pretty small. If anything, you'll just increase the amount of rankings that you already have. You'll rank for more keywords on top of those. So I wouldn't worry about losing rankings. You would only make the situation better, I think. So I wouldn't worry too much about those. Sorry, I wrote a lot of questions and dropped them all now. No, that's fine. I appreciate it. So yeah, we do that a lot. If we have a blog that has done fairly well and we see that we can update it with maybe some newer information, it's only going to make that blog better. So you're not going to hurt it really in any way. Just republish on the same URL, update the publishing date on it, and it'll keep all of its past authority and just become a stronger piece. So, all right, good. I don't see any other questions. Thank you guys all for jumping on. It's been an awesome day today. Appreciate your time. So, all right, now what? Well, the biggest thing here really is start getting started on content. Content is by far the biggest thing you can do to improve your overall website. It is going to get Google's attention. It's going to help your rankings improve. And it is definitely something worth the time to invest, whether that be you paying somebody to create it or you do it yourself. It's definitely worth the time. So thank you so much for jumping on. I do appreciate it. One last thing, two last things, actually. If you do not have a copy of my book, Triple Your Window Treatment and Awning Leads, visit our website, wtmarketingpros.com/book. and request a book. I'll get one in the mail to you. I've got some already packaged up and ready to go. I'll stick a label on it today and put it in the mail to you. And also, if you haven't seen americasbestwindowtreatments.com, go check that out. Make sure your business is listed on there. It is also free, but go check that out. Get your business listed on there. It's a free link back to your business, and everybody knows links equal higher rankings. So go get that link. It's from a relevant site. It's going to help your business grow a little bit as well. So I do appreciate your time. Hope you guys have a great day today. And let's see. All right, that's it. Thank you so much. Take care. We'll see you guys next month. Thanks, everyone.